Friends, in the previous video, we talked in terms of the definition of unlawful assemblies and what are the liabilities, especially on the criminal side, of being a member of an unlawful assembly. The focus of this brief video is as to what and who can use force to disperse this unlawful assembly. Now, we often see on the TV and also reported in the newspapers that the police have used tear gas shells, mild lathi charge, water cannons, and sometimes even police firing. And often friends have asked me as to under what provisions of the Code of Criminal Procedure or any other law are these actually enumerated. So, first things first, all that has been said in the Code of Criminal Procedure and also further elucidated in terms of the Police Act and the rules framed thereunder. They could vary for different states now. Earlier used to have a common Police Act of 1861, but the word used is use of force. So therefore, rubber bullets, water cannons, lathi charge, etc., they are not used in law. What is said is use of force, and the underlying principle is always to use minimum force. So therefore, first we must need to understand the provisions of law. These are codified in three small simple sections of the CRPC, section 129, 130 and 131. So therefore, who can order an unlawful assembly to disperse? And not only that, any lawful assembly of 5 or more persons which is likely to cause disturbance of public peace. So technically speaking, it may not be an unlawful assembly yet, but there is apprehension that it is likely to cause disturbance of public tranquility. So even that can be ordered to be dispersed. So therefore, the law gives the overriding power to the senior most executive magistrate. It could be the subdivisional magistrate, if the district magistrate, the district collector is on the spot, of course, and it could be a simple executive magistrate. And in case, like in the state of Punjab, a tehsildar or an apsildar on law or duty is also conferred with the powers of the executive magistrate. So he is the person empowered to direct, order an unlawful assembly to disperse. And in his absence, an officer in charge of a police station, a thanedar, it could be an inspector, it could be a sub-inspector, it could even be like in police commissionerate system, an ACP, which is a DSP rank officer, a gazetted officer. But the law does not permit any officer below the rank of a sub-inspector. 129 of the Code of Criminal Procedure is very clear. This power is only given to an executive magistrate and thereafter an officer in charge of a police station, and if they are not present, then no one below the rank of a sub-inspector. Of course, you can then contact your seniors and so on and so forth and take action. That is a separate thing. So therefore, the dispersal has to be directed by the executive magistrate, and thereafter the hierarchy of the police if the magistrate is not available. So you have to give people adequate notice. You cannot just start piling on with lathis and so on, or water cannons. Loudspeakers generally are there and you say, hey, this has been declared to be an unlawful assembly, please disperse, section 144 is in force, I so and so magistrate am directing you. So you have to give people adequate notice. So you are there on the spot, taking cognizance of the situation and then trying to say whether use of force is required or not. And if the assembly does not disperse, is not showing any signs of dispersing, rather is becoming more restive, then you direct as to what type of force, to what extent the executive magistrate generally directs a lathi charge, tear gas and so on. And the police officer, who is the senior most on the spot, is then kind of taking situation into his hands and directing his men as to how to proceed. The magistrate gives an order, he is not going to use force himself, he is going to be simply directing the use of force. So that is, and in the ultimate analysis, it could go to the extent of firing, where again the order of the senior most executive magistrate are there to be taken. But in a situation where no executive magistrate is present on spot or contactable, then the same police officer independently has the power to use force, which can extend to opening of firing. It's a different matter that the police force generally does not open firing without the orders of a magistrate, but the law takes care of it and provides that if the loss caused by this mob, this unlawful assembly is going to be much more, then a police officer not below the rank of a sub-inspector can independently use force. Not only that, armed forces, generally the army and the paramilitary forces have to be requisitioned. But if under any circumstances it so happens, then a commissioned officer of the armed forces independently can use force, which is very rarely used, but the provision of the law under section 130 is very much there. And in case the army has been requisitioned in aid of civil authority, then the army is going to take orders. The senior most officer of the armed contingent is going to take orders only and only from the executive magistrate and not from the police officer. And rather the police contingent kind of becomes available and under the command of the army officer who's taking care of the situation. Normally we find newspaper headlines that situation is so bad that it has been handed over to the army. There is no such provision in law in the Code of Criminal Procedure. It is simply the armed forces requisitioned in aid of civil authority. We do so in natural disasters and so on also, but also in riot type of situations. And the senior most executive magistrate continues to be in charge of the situation and they are merely assisting. Similarly, we also find sometimes, very often, the situation is so tense that shoot at sight orders have been given in violation of the curfew. So with all due humility, I beg to state that there is no provision in law. What is curfew? A restraint order under 144, and if you violate that, it is an offence under 188. Then of course you can be arrested, prosecuted and so on. If in violation of an order of the curfew, you are actually trying to kill someone, commit a murder, then of course the provisions of law to prevent those heinous offences can come and you can be restrained by use of firearms by the police and the paramilitary forces. That is a separate thing. But there is no blanket provision such as a shoot at sight in violation of the curfew proceedings. And 131 CRPC simply says that it provides the immunity to the executive magistrate, to the police officers, to the members of the armed forces, to the officers of the armed forces, that once they kind of use force and so on, they are not liable to any criminal prosecution. Young friends have often asked that commissions of inquiry are ordered. What happens in those cases? The commissions of inquiry basically are going to determine whether the use of force was or was not excessive. So they could, under circumstances, recommend departmental action, and if you find it is absolutely berserk, there was no reason, it was not an unlawful assembly, and one has violated the canons of law, you actually have not proceeded under 129 and 130 CRPC and indiscriminately ordered firing, then of course they could say a criminal offence has been made and a separate investigation would commence. No one can be punished merely on the findings of an inquiry commission, whether it is headed by a Supreme Court judge or a retired High Court judge, whatever. It can lead to three courses of action: that nothing wrong was done, departmental action not amounting to a criminal offence, merely negligence, and of course a criminal offense where you have gone far beyond the restraints of 129 and 131, and therefore even the protection of 131 CRPC is not available to you. So friends, to put together unlawful assemblies are to be dispersed by use of force. It has to be minimal force. The executive magistracy is the person, the senior most executive magistrate has to assess the situation. His directions must be followed, his orders must be taken, and the cardinal principle, of course, is use of minimum force. So this, friends, were twin videos to help you to understand what an unlawful assembly is, what are the criminal liabilities associated with being a member of an unlawful assembly, and who can disperse using what means. So thanks for joining. See you soon. And in case you think this is useful to you and your friends and followers, please don't hesitate to like, comment, and share. Stay tuned.